Hey there, it's Lacey J, here to ask you to go to spacebearmedia.com right now to access all our content, buy yourself some merch, and most importantly, send us a message, a question, fan mail, even hate mail. We'll respond on YouTube. Also, please remember to rate and review the podcast on your favorite app or share it with someone you know who loves Lost. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Lost in My 40s, Season 4, Episode 6 already, somehow. It's called The Other Woman. It's a Juliet, yay, episode. It's a Ben, yay, episode. But first...
Doing great.
Doing fine.
Thought I'd beat you to it this time.
Weren't fast enough last time.
The number of times that you tell us that we're not either on the ball or we're not to your energy level. So
yep. Thank you.
I wanted to show how excited I am about this episode.
I'm so glad. It is the last Juliet-centric episode of the series, FYI. So we better...
Series?
Yeah, it's the last one that's just hers. So we better relish it, all right? First, though, Benjamin, please update us on these power rankings for Season 4, which so far have been so fucking exciting.
Yeah. So at the end of Episode 5, we had Charles Widmore in third from last place with negative 15 points.
Deservedly so.
Miles holding, falling to second place or climbing. I guess it doesn't, going from worst to second worst with negative 25 points. And we've got Mr. Date Rape himself, Keeney, with negative 28 points.
Mr. Date Rape.
He does. He looks like a date rapist. I'm just going to say it.
Oh, he looks like the kind of guy that if I saw him in a bar, I'd put my hand over my glass. So, yeah.
Exactly.
So, perfect description, Ben. Go ahead. What's up with the top?
What's up with the top? Well, we've got in third place, we've got Dan Faraday. In second place, we have a tie, actually, at 36 points. We've got both Ben Linus and the mayor of Islandtown, Hurley. And at the very, very top,
wild.
At the very top, which you would expect, as this episode was the constant, we have Desmond with 37 points.
Of course. The Hurley and Ben Linus thing neck and neck is so wild because they're so diametric, like opposite forces.
Absolutely.
Ben would be ahead if it wasn't for Christy.
That may well be the case.
Ben hate.
That's
you
right.
You guys are just crazy. He's a psycho.
Yeah.
I know.
But he's such a good psycho, though.
Yes, he is.
You know, sometimes you love the anti-hero, which I don't really even know if that's technically his title.
He's a villain.
I guess so, but the thing,
he gassed the whole town, so.
True.
That's a good point. But but, you know, I mean, that's like the Thanos argument, right? Ends justify the means. You know, Ben was on a mission to save the island. These people were in the way. Like, that's one of the big themes that this show explores is anybody really a good guy? Is anybody really a bad guy? Or is everybody just trying to do their own purpose, mission, right? And so that is why I might label him an anti-hero as opposed to just a villain, because it just sort of depends on, like, perspective.
I guess that's a good point.
Whose point of view?
At one point, we were watching The Walking Dead, and, you know, Rick and his people are like, oh, they're the bad guys. And it's really a matter of perspective. To the other side, clearly you're the bad guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Negan was
funny.
a bad guy.
Yeah, Negan was a bad guy.
Well, was he? Look for all the
But he
people
was doing what he
provided
needed to
for.
do.
Right, and he was doing what he needed to do to survive. I mean, agreed, he's one of the better villains on television ever. But again, you know, from the perspective, I mean, if you were somebody that he was taking care of,
That shows exactly how I think
Go ahead.
the world would go to if that happened.
Oh,
It'd
God,
just be a free-for-all kill fest.
Yeah. It would be crazy.
That's like the libertarian wet dream. That's what they want. Anyways, it's funny that you said that, Christy, about the, who are the good guys, because it's in next week's episode, a character says that to another. So we will revisit that next week. But, just identifying that as like an overarching theme of the podcast makes every character a little more complicated than just good and evil,
Yeah.
All right.
Shades of gray.
Okay.
Exactly. Shall we dive into our last bit of Juliet?
Yes, please.
Ben, you first.
Yay. So, episode 6, The Other Woman. We start in flashback with Juliet in what looks like a therapist's office. She raking
looks hot.
You think so?
What is it about past Juliet and they get her hair all like big and curly and floofy and hot? Nobody else agrees with me?
I didn't think she looked particularly hot in this scene, no. I mean,
what?
No.
Christy?
I like her hair.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I like
I think they overdo
good.
the makeup with her. I think it's what it was. They did the cheeks or something too red. There was something about her that I just didn't think was all that hot.
Agree with you. And it's lips too pink.
Is that what it was?
I think. Yes. Yes. I noticed that as well. And it was just like, that's like baby pink on your face. I don't know. Understand that
pink
color.
lips, huh? Pink lips.
I think it's, it's trying to make her look younger, fresher, maybe a little more innocent with her pink lips, like before the island turned her into like a gun-toting killer, basically.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Anyways, sorry, I let you get about 3 words in.
One sentence,
Yeah, not even. Regardless of her hotness in this scene, she's raking a miniature Zen garden or like sand garden or whatever it is when a woman enters the room and apologizes for being late. She introduces herself as Dr. Harper Stanhope and tells Juliet
immediately tried to explain why she overplucked her fucking eyebrows into oblivion.
She's got a face where she always looks like she's alarmed that she just smelled a fart.
It's the fucking eyebrows because she's got them.
A fart.
The eyebrows, I mean, it looks they're at like a right angle over her head. Like it's so weird. So she just looks surprised, angrily surprised at like all times. It's
exactly. She tells Juliet that today's appointment is a meet and greet so that they can get to know each other. Juliet says she doesn't need therapy, so Dr. Stanhope suggests they call it talking instead of therapy.
Okay.
Juliet agrees, so the doc points out that Julie has been on the island for a week now and wonders what her least favorite thing about it is. Juliet says that she hates being treated like a celebrity, and the doctor responds, well, maybe you feel that all eyes are on you, but you're not a celebrity, and soon enough you'll realize that you're no different than anyone here.
Ooh.
She immediately gets bitchy.
Oh, yeah.
Competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, why are you so antagonistic if you're supposed to be her fucking therapist?
Yeah,
what the
weird.
fuck is that? That is really strange. Now, I mean, I understand it after she finds out that Juliet's banging her husband, but this is their first meetup. Like that that doesn't make any sense at all.
This is like I think this is Linus Psychiatric Associates.
Oh, actually, Ben, I mean, it's a funny joke, but you might be right.
No,
for
that's
all
what
we
I
know,
mean.
yeah, like Linus, Ben was telling her, okay, Harper, this is the way you're going to handle Juliet.
You're going to start manipulating her right from the beginning. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Obviously, he wanted her on the island, so he had a thing for her right off the bat. So he's manipulating her through this bitchy, plucky-eyed queef, whatever she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So at that, Juliet is a little taken aback and begins to apologize. And then there's a knock on the door. Tom Friendly walks in and says, Harper, I'm sorry for the interruption. I know you don't like me busting in, but Ben would like to see the doc. Dr. Stanhope says that Juliet is all his before turning to her and saying, welcome to the island.
Again, bitch, she did not... her tone was not welcoming in that moment.
Not even a little.
No. Antagonistic, hostile right from the get-go.
Yeah. Maybe did Juliet wax her eyebrows, do you think? Is that what happened?
So Tom and Juliet are now walking through the barracks. Tom chuckles and says, that Harper's a piece of work, but give her a week and she'll have you crying about your daddy. And I'm speaking from personal experience here.
I'd be
When he
crying
talked about
how nasty she is.
I know. She's going to make
Shitty
me cry,
therapist.
regardless. It doesn't have to be about my daddy. But now we know that Tom Friendly has dad issues, too.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's a thing.
And we know that he's gay, so his daddy could mean multiple things there.
Oh, God.
Wow, Ben. We didn't know that yet. You just
shit.
told Derek that.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
No, we did.
I'm done.
No.
Series over.
No, we
Fuck it.
didn't.
Spoiled.
Yeah,
We didn't.
because at one point when he was in the...
You're not my type,
Yeah,
he says.
he says
Yeah.
to Kate, "You're not my type." And then
Oh.
later, in a later season, you find out, you see in a flashback, you see his story. And so Ben ruined it.
All right. Shall I
I
cut
don't know.
that? Are we going to cut that then?
No. The listeners
All
are going to
right.
know what you did to Derek.
Hopefully it'll be far enough away I'll forget about it by then.
It's honestly, it's not a plot point that has anything to do with the show so much as you didn't see a lot of, gay characters on television in the early 2000s. I guess that we're going toward 2010 by the time that comes out. So far more common, I guess, at that point. But it just is something that you happen to see in a flashback. It's not really like a plot point. It wouldn't have been an earphone moment other than, seeing you find that out, not from Ben. But anywho's, yeah, you're right. He probably had daddy issues because daddy maybe was a homophobe.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So they both laugh as they approach one of the homes where Ben is standing with a bouquet of flowers. He says, "Welcome to your humble abode." Juliet is surprised she gets her own house. So Ben says, "You're here to help us with some very important research, Juliet. We pulled out all the stops: 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, washer, dryer, fresh linens, a well-stocked fridge. Oh, and I know you love the opera, so we have all the classics on CD."
Okay,
Juliet
this is
thinks
what's
all of
called
this
love
is
bombing, and that's what narcissists do.
Yeah, right. Juliet thinks all of this is amazing, but not necessary because she'll only be here for 6 months. Ben replies, "Right, of course, but we want you to feel at home."
And
Which, the way his face right there, the acting is really, really good.
yes, it's so fucking creepy. I don't know how he does it. And we've had a discussion before just about how, his face is kind of a face for a villain, like a Steve Buscemi kind of face, little bug eyes, and but it's not that. Like, he's so good at making my skin crawl. Yeah. Like, that Michael Emerson is just a genius. He's such a genius in this role, Christy.
Yeah.
I didn't say he's not good at being a total fucking psycho.
Oh, okay.
Back at the beach camp, Julia is trying to get some of the poles of her shelter back into the ground. It's day 94 for the crash survivors, and there's thunder rumbling in the sky. Son offers Juliet some help with that pole, and then asks why Juliet is bothering since they are about to leave the island. They handle that pole well together.
Yes, they do.
Oh my God. I have a feeling there are going to be 2 threesomes with Juliet and Son at the end of
Maybe.
this episode.
I don't know.
All right.
Are listeners noticing any themes here? Juliet says she needs a place to sleep tonight. Just as a breathy Jack runs up and says, "Have you seen Charlotte and Faraday? All their stuff's gone." Juliet hadn't seen
the pole.
Exactly. It's like he licks his lips. Oh, God.
Oh, man. Where's my pole?
Oh my God.
Julia hasn't seen them and checks with Jack to make sure he is still on the satellite phone. Jack nods his head to indicate he does not, that he still has the satellite phone. Sorry, I said that wrong. Jack nods that he doesn't. Jin speaks in Korean, and Sun says that he saw them going into the jungle. Jack wants to know why Jin didn't tell him that, and Jin replies in English, "You said they are friends." Jack loudly sighs, and Sun asks, "Aren't they?"
I mean, that's a good point, you know?
Yeah.
So magically, there are torches for everyone, and Jack is handing them out as it begins to rain. He says, all right, we've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's fan out. If you catch their trail, call out to me. I'll come to you. Thunder's crashing and rumbling while Juliet walks alone in the jungle. Suddenly, she hears whispering and calls out, Jack. She turns around to see Dr. Harper Stanhope standing behind her and gasps. Harper says, hello, Juliet. Long time no see.
I was going to look at me if I saw her in the rain.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? I'm going to ask you, Derek, what your impression was here. When I remember that when I first saw this episode, what I assumed had happened was that Harper was dead. And that you thought the same thing. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I did
until
too.
later when she's like, oh, you know, I'm talking to Ben or whatever, I thought this was another like Yemi Christian Shepherd sort of situation where like we were going to get the backstory that she was actually dead and now like Juliet's seeing her on the island. Okay, so you thought the same
and just
thing.
like, and the way she looked, you know, in the rain.
It was like Walt.
Yeah.
It was like Walt in the rain at one time.
The wet.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
My wet son.
Walt!
He's my wet son. Wet giant son.
That's right.
I started From over again the other day. And,
yes.
You know, in that first one where he's like, he's my son.
So, okay,
Ben
and I powered through both seasons of From in what, a week?
Yeah, about a week.
Yeah, about a week. I love it. I think it's great. I don't, if I had to put it on some sort of rating system, as of right now, I would not put it up like in the same category as Lost or even some other shows that I really love. Yeah, it's a solid, decent show, and I'm definitely excited to see where it goes. But there are several different like little Easter eggs from Lost because it has some of the same writer, director, and now I'm telling the listeners this because Christy knows, but in the very first episode, when you meet the character that Harold Perrineau plays, he has a conversation with another character about his son that is also in this town, and he literally, quite fucking literally says, he's my son. And Ben and I both fucking busted up laughing like, oh my God. Oh my God. They gave, that's for us. That's for the Lost fan.
Yeah.
That's for us. And I just imagine Harold Perrineau like reading the script and being like, oh my God.
Oh, he's like, I could deliver this fucking line. I've done this a million times.
Just give me a waterfall and I'll be good.
Yeah, right.
I got this one.
Screaming at that thing all day.
So, yeah, highly recommend checking out From. I think it's definitely worth it. It has some similar themes, of course, but definitely more horror than Lost is. And, I think it's just great. I really like the show. Does Caleb like it?
No interest whatsoever.
Oh, my God. He's so fucking stubborn.
He's a little picky.
He's very picky. That's all right. It's because he writes screenplays and shows and things, so he's critical when the rest of us can just like not notice the problems.
He's a media snob.
I'm kind of a snob, and I don't write screenplays.
Oh, okay.
So
no, but I think
I'm
it's
just
the
gonna blow
same
that theory
reaction.
out of the water.
No, but it's the same reaction like that I have when I freak out over how they give injections on TV. Because I know how to I know how to give an injection. I know how to hit a vein. And when I watch that, I'm like, what the fuck? So it's the same sort of thing. When your job is to be critical about TV shows, how can you not be? Yeah.
Every time I watch a show about calculating royalties, I'm always like, that's not how you do that. God. Get with it, y'all.
It's funny because, you know, back at the beginning of our marriage, when Caleb started going to film school, even before he started going to film school, like we would watch a movie or something and he'd be like, what did you think? And I'm like, oh, I really liked it. Why would you think? And he'd be like, well, it was crap because of this and this and this and this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that sucked. And so now I've become
He's been ruining movies for you for 23 years.
But he's very happy because he says that he's ruined me for any other man if I ever were to leave him, you know.
Oh, perfect.
And end up
never
with
take it to
somebody
the
else.
movies.
Yep, exactly.
That's amazing. No, but that's why I keep talking him into coming onto episodes on here, because I know that he's going to have like that critical opinion, which is always interesting, even if like Dave and I argue with him about it. All right. I don't know, Ben. I hope you figured out where we are, because I don't know. Go.
Yeah, we were just at the title screen. So
easy
to come back.
Yes.
Juliet wants to know why Harper is there, and Harper says, I came to deliver a message from Ben. The two people you were looking for, Faraday and Lewis, they're headed to the Tempest. And if they figure out how to deploy that...
The what?
The what?
The what?
Where?
Where are they going, Derek?
The Tempest.
Oh.
And if they figure out how to deploy that gas, then everyone on the island is going to die.
Huh?
Juliet wants to know why she doesn't stop them, and Harper tells her it's because Ben wants Juliet to do it. Juliet questions how she can possibly know what Ben wants since he's a prisoner right now. Harper says Ben is exactly where he wants to be. Juliet wants to know how she's supposed to stop them. Harper tells her to point a gun and pull the trigger.
Jesus Christ. You see, that's why they put pink lipstick on her in the first clip, so that the impact of the pink lipsticked newbie to the hit woman.
Yeah, exactly.
That transformation is complete.
That's exactly it. That's you say that. It's like she comes in with like rosy cheeks and pink lips or whatever. Yeah.
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 Exactly
then she's this fucking leather bag woman walking around.
Shooting everybody they tell her to.
Exactly.
Good Lord. I mean, we were all pretty happy she killed Dad Pants, but
Jack runs up, cocks his gun, so Harper knows he's serious, and says, "Who are you?" Harper replies, "I'm an old friend of Juliet's. I just told her where the people you're looking for are headed. Maybe you and your gun can go too." The whispering returns, and Jack and Juliet look around for where it's coming from. But when they turn back around, Harper has disappeared.
It's another reason I thought she was dead, because of the whispering.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's interesting. So now kind of what we're seeing is those whispers around somebody that doesn't fit that mold of like the dead walking around again. But yet we know she's somehow still in contact with Ben. And yeah, it's interesting to think about how the whispers showed up then.
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong? But that's the first time they've shown up around anyone who we don't already know is dead or suspect is.
Right.
Well,
right?
I don't think that we know or suspect that Walt is dead. He got off the island with Michael. Right, because the whispers when he was showing up to Shannon. You're right. Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you. So it's not the first time. The whispers are just like part of what's happened when they have to like beam someone up, you know?
Beam me up, Scotty.
Exactly.
There are some. We will have some discussions about the whispers in like our series post show. So yeah, it's not the last time we'll talk about those. But yeah, good call, Christy. They were around Walt, who isn't dead. Yeah, isn't dead as far as we know, but also isn't on the island. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
And that brings us to flashback number 2. Juliet is quietly crying amongst the supply shelves in a medical office. She hears something in the next room and walks over and finds Goodwin looking for some gauze with a gnarly-looking burn on his arm. Julie asks what happened, and Goodwin says, I was working at the power station. I pressed up against a transformer. Juliet starts to look at the wound, and Goodwin asks if she's the baby doctor.
You see the way he's looking at her, by the way? Like he's fucking mesmerized by her.
Yeah,
it's really
totally
sweet.
Mesmerized. Yeah.
And also her bedside manner. It's like, I want Juliet to take care of my boo-boos.
I'd watch that.
It's funny that you said that. When we'll talk more about watching when we get to the power rankings.
Anyway, she says, again, he asks if she's the baby doctor. She confirms. And he continues, I heard we lost Henrietta this morning. It's okay. It's not your fault. Juliet replies, pregnant women are dying this island. I was brought here to help fix that. So whose fault is it? good point.
Well,
Yeah, you are the doctor.
Goodwin tells her that nobody expects her to fix everything overnight. He suggests maybe talking to Harper, but Juliet says she hates her and suspects she's the mean and spiteful type. Goodwin replies, "She's my wife."
And I agree with you.
Yeah, he doesn't say no, she's not. That's the thing. Yeah.
yeah, well, right, because we find out later at this point, like he's been sleeping on the couch for a year.
Yeah.
So yeah. He's probably like, oh, Juliet, yeah, we hate my wife. Let's date.
Juliet tries to apologize, but Goodwin brushes it off while she finishes fixing his arm. Goodwin offers himself up as someone Juliet can talk to because he knows how the island can wear on someone. Well, Juliet says, "Good to know. If you promise not to tell your wife what I said about her, I won't tell anyone that you lied about how you hurt your arm. I know a chemical burn when I see one."
Oh.
He laughs and says that she's got a deal before introducing himself by name. Juliet reciprocates, and Goodwin leaves.
And what the fuck is this now going on? The writers are making me like Goodwin? No.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to feel bad about this fucking thing through his chest. Caravan of
There's the
Lucia.
whole, now we don't see him as a bad guy, whereas back when Anna Lucia was digging holes, we did.
We all we thought was, oh my God, it's another Ethan.
Yeah.
Yep. It's another other.
It's another evil other.
Other.
Yeah, exactly.
So Juliet and Jack are walking through the jungle in the rain. She tells them that Faraday and Charlotte are heading to the Tempest. Jack inquires about what the fuck the Tempest is. And Juliet responds, "It's safer for you if I don't talk about it."
Really?
Oh, no.
Stupid.
It only takes her like a second to go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah,
I know.
right.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about it, but here's what it is.
Jack insists, so Juliet tells him it's an electrical station that powers the island.
Oh.
Huh.
And yeah, he had gotten an electrical burn before, but she tells him that she knows it's a chemical burn, and now she tells them that it's an electrical station.
Right.
Jack wants to know why they would go there. He stops Juliet to say that if there's anything she needs to help him, that she should do it now. Juliet says, "What I need is for you to help me. Will you help me?" She stares at him, begging with her face.
And she was.
Yeah. I wouldn't say no to that face.
No.
Jack, resigned, looks to the ground, and Juliet says, "If we move all night, maybe we can still catch them. Thank you."
How many kilometers?
How many kilometers? If we move all night, move in what way?
Yeah. Horizontally?
Do you think Jack's laid that pipe yet?
I don't think so.
I don't know. No, probably not.
You don't think so? I sort of thought maybe that would happen before they started kissing in public, but I don't know. Maybe I have my priorities screwed up.
No, they're probably like
gotta fuck first, then kiss.
He's going to work his way up to it, and then they're all going to have like a party one night, and Sawyer's going to nail her.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I said
that's
in public, Derek.
It's now morning of day 95 for the originals. Two of the helicopter crew are crouching by a stream in the jungle. Birds are chirping, and Daniel is looking at a map. He looks at Charlotte and says, "I don't think it's this way. But what if I can't do it?" Charlotte replies, "Dan, look at me. I know you can do this." They decide to start moving again when Kate pulls a lock in the box and pops out of the bushes.
Yep.
Charlotte draws her gun, but Faraday quickly intercedes. Whoa. It's okay. It's Kate. Charlotte slowly lowers her gun.
I love how this scene plays too, where like you're thinking when he's saying, I don't know if I can do this. You're thinking, oh, well, maybe Daniel doesn't want to murder everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
But really, he's saying, like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if I'll succeed and actually save everyone.
Right.
Yeah. I love the way this episode is written.
Kate is filling her water bottle in the stream when Faraday asks about Miles. Kate says he's fine and asks what they are doing out there alone. It says kilometers on here.
Yeah, it does.
Charlotte says Jack was trying to communicate with Saeed and Desmond on the freighter, but their sat phone ran out of juice. It's totally dead. There's no way we can call the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Kate notices the satellite phone sticking out of Charlotte's backpack with its green power light glowing brightly. Charlotte continues, "So we volunteered to get the spare batteries out of the packs that we threw out of the chopper."
Chopper.
Out of the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Get the batteries out of the chopper. We got to go.
I'll be back.
Kate nods at the bag Daniel has and asks if where he got it, if it was thrown from the helicopter. He stutters, it's just borrowed this. Kate wants to see inside, and Charlotte says he should let her. Kate pulls out a gas mask, asks what it's for, and then gets pistol whipped by Rocky Dennis. By the snooty redhead Rocky Dennis.
I wrote snooty redhead. He added Rocky Dennis.
Kate goes down and then moans. That, in another context, that could be a pretty hot sentence.
Yes.
I very, very purposefully wrote Kate goes down and then moans.
And then Daniel looks at Charlotte, who says, "What?"
Well, like, my thing, though, is Kate isn't stupid enough to turn her back on Charlotte.
You would think not, yeah.
You know, so this is just poorly written, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Amazing. Since 2 minutes ago, I said, I love the way this episode is written. Anywho.
Back to Jack and Juliet in the jungle. Jack wants to know if...
Back to Jack and Juliet in the jungle. Sorry, this is alliteration that I got impressed with there for a second.
Jack wants to know if Juliet is friends with that woman and inquires about her name. Juliet tells him that was Harper, her therapist. You people had therapists?
Not really good ones, apparently.
Oh, shitty one, yeah.
Good ones? Anyway. It's very... And Juliet's one of my favorite lines. It's very stressful being another Jack.
Yeah, brilliant.
It is.
Fucking great.
He thinks that Harper seems a bit hostile for a therapist.
Juliet feels with him.
Yeah.
Juliet feels him prying and asks him not to. She says, "I'm sure there are things from your past that you would rather not talk about." Jack replies, "Yeah, you read them all in my file," which makes Juliet say, "Trust me, Jack, you don't want to see my file."
Whoa.
Why not?
Now I totally do.
Yeah, I want to see the file.
I think that Derek is using the word file, but he means something else.
Yeah.
Oh.
This takes us to flashback number 3. Ben and Juliet are in the medical office at the barracks. Juliet is peering into a microscope while Ben creepily watches. And he really
looks
creepy.
at her
It's,
like
he's sniffing her hair.
Is a steak.
Yeah.
It is disgusting. I've had men look at me like that. It is violating and sick and disgusting. And just watching him look at her that way makes me love Michael Emerson even more. He's so good at it.
Juliet continues. The problem occurs somewhere in the second trimester when the mother's immune system is triggered. The white blood cell count plummets. It's like the immune system turns on the fetus. Ben asks to look in the microscope, and as he does, he puts his hand on the table near Juliet's hand.
He's got like his fingers on top of hers.
It's like a couple little, oh, God. This is so gross. I don't think anyone that we listen to would have gotten this far in our podcast if this was the kind of behavior that they were doing. But fellas or ladies, anytime you're hitting on anybody, don't touch someone without asking them if it's okay. Don't just creepily reach over and put your goddamn fingers on somebody's body. It's gross. Sorry.
This public service message has been brought to you by...
Yes.
So Juliet nervously moves her hand away as Ben asks about the cause of the immune response. Juliet tells him it's too early to tell, but only women who have conceived on the island are impacted, which makes her wonder. But before she can finish, Goodwin pops his head in the door to offer Juliet an extra egg salad on rye.
Oh.
He seems surprised that Ben is there and mentions that Ethan is out sick. Juliet tells him that she already ate, plus she has an appointment with his wife in about 10 minutes.
Oh, boy.
Juliet turns to stare at Ben. Goodwin asks Juliet to tell Harper hi, and he agrees to do so. Before leaving, Goodwin offers Ben the sandwich. Ben says, "No, I'm fine," and then goes back to looking into the microscope.
Quit trying to cock block me.
And when he says, "No, I'm fine," the look of like jealousy is...
Oh God, yeah.
He's
fire like, burning in his eyes.
Yeah.
Like,
but
yeah.
You just
Goodwin's
nailed that.
Gone.
Ben, you sounded like him when you said that.
No, I'm fine. Yep.
Yeah, it's... You're nailing the sort of like, how does he...
Inflection.
Yeah, it's like he speaks in this calming, sort of very soft voice, and then tells you with his eyes that he's going to get you killed.
Yeah, he's not fine.
I'm gonna work on my Ben impressions. His name is Ben, so I should be able to get it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think we just need to like permanently hire Dave to be here just to read any of Jack's lines.
So Juliet is now sitting on a couch in Harper's office. Harper asks what she thinks of Ben. Juliet says, he's great, very smart and intense, challenging. He's been really good to me. And Harper replies, of course he has. You look just like her.
Who?
Ooh, whoa.
Juliet is taken
I'm
aback.
I'm asking you, Derek. Who does she look like?
I don't know.
Was there a woman in his life other than his
like.
mother? Or, well, Annie, right? That's her name. But
Annie.
he never saw her grown up. Technically,
His
never
mother
saw his
didn't-
mother
Yeah.
grown up. Well, except for her visiting him on the
Coming
island.
back.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's like, is it just a blonde hair thing? Because she certainly didn't look like that actress. But yeah. What did you think when she said that, Derek?
Exactly that. Like, who did he have before? Or did he have a girlfriend or a woman before?
Okay. Did you consider his mother or no?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
He was lonely. I just imagine he had a coat rack with a wig and a coat hung on it.
Oh, my God.
Ben has a very sad life. Juliet is taken aback and tries to get more info, but Harper ignores her and says, and I see you and my husband have become friendly.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Ew.
Juliet looks worried and pauses for a second before telling her that Goodwin has been very helpful. Harper asks, when did you start sleeping with him?
Bam.
Juliet says, oh, we don't sleep.
Oh, my
We're
God.
not sleeping.
Juliet
Jungle
is
get
in
a quickie.
Juliet is in shock, and Harper tells her that she's not an idiot and wants to know when it started. Juliet stammers out, I'm not doing this. We're done. When she stands to leave, Harper also stands and says, please respect me enough to spare me the pretense that you are actually offended. I know. I followed you, watched you.
Whoa.
Juliet sort of whimpers, I'm sorry. And Harper continues, it doesn't matter anymore. But what does matter is that you listen to me and that you believe me. And if you continue to have a relationship with Goodwin, there will be consequences. I don't want him to get hurt. Juliet reassures Harper that she would never hurt Goodwin. But Harper says, look, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Ben.
What?
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Ben knows how to get rid of his competition.
Oh, yeah.
In a whole lot
Yeah.
of creative ways.
Yep.
Yeah. Then we go to the barracks where Locke is skinning a rabbit wearing gleaming white clothes head to toe.
Yes.
Why
Oh,
you
yeah,
would
that's
skin
true.
a rabbit in those white clothes? This is like from the sun camp where like she's wearing all the white clothes while gardening.
Yep.
Yep.
He looks like Mr. Clean in this scene, actually.
He does.
He does.
Actually,
Yes.
when he turns and he looks over his shoulder, it's the exact fucking pose
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
guy on the box.
Yeah.
Just needs the gold hoop earring.
Yeah.
Right.
She wants to know, or when Claire approaches, she wants to know when, what's going on with Miles. And Locke tells her he's bringing him food and water until he decides to talk. Claire says, I'd like to talk to him myself. Locke sets his knife down and says, and why would you want to do that? She says they need to know who the people on the freighter are and why they aren't interested in rescuing them. He asks if she doesn't think he's capable of making him talk. And Claire responds, no, I just think we might be taking the wrong approach. I mean, you killed one, Ben shot one, and now we're holding one prisoner. You know, it's not hard to understand why they think we're hostile. I
That's
might
a point.
be, yeah. She finishes, I might be just a little less intimidating.
Just a little.
I mean, yeah, she totally has a point. And also, I kind of love that they use the word hostile like they're the hostiles now.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Excellent writing.
Hey!
Locke tells her very matter-of-factly, it's not going to happen. Claire tries to protest, so Locke throws Charlie in her face. Do you remember what Charlie said about these people? Claire snaps back. All Charlie said was, whose boat it isn't. Do you want to know whose boat it is? Frustrated Locke slams his knife down on the table. Man, everyone's getting under Locke's skin lately.
No shit.
Yeah.
He's just
happens
so
when
on
you're
the
a
edge.
dictator.
It's not
Isn't it?
difficult
Yeah.
to get on under his skin. So.
Yeah.
It's true. And he is Locke without a mission. He doesn't know what to do next. And he feels powerless, like he can't get up from that wheelchair.
Yeah.
And when he feels that way, that's when he starts acting a fool.
Yeah, exactly.
And often when he makes mistakes.
Don't tell
Yep.
me what I can't do.
Well, yeah.
Ben is sitting on the floor of his cell in the basement prison reading Valis by Philip K. Dick. He hears the sounds of keys opening the door just before Locke enters with a plate of food. Ben gets up with a sigh, takes the plate and says, "Rabbit today?" Locke tells him they ran out of chickens. And then I think Ben at that point asks him, was there a number on that rabbit?
Yes. He doesn't want to eat his friend.
Locke tells him to eat, change, and put everything dirty by the door. He'll collect them in 15 minutes. Locke leaves the room as Ben starts eating the rabbit, but before the door can close, Ben casually says, "So, has the revolution begun yet?"
I knew Locke would fall for that.
This, of course, gets Locke, who peeks back in the doorway to ask what Ben is talking about.
Ben is like a marionette when he plays
Yep.
Locke. Just making him dance.
Plays him
making
like
him
a fool.
dance. Yeah.
Yep. Ben says, "Well, you're their leader now. I know it's a tough position. You have to deal with all those people constantly second-guessing your decisions. And it always starts out so innocently, doesn't it? A question here, a comment there, and then if you're not careful, you'll find a full-blown insurrection on your hands. Believe me, your people are going to be so angry when they realize you still don't have a plan." Oh, God.
Wow.
Locke assumes that Ben has a plan. Ben confirms that he always has a plan. Locke asks if the plan is to raise $3.2 million before taking $1 from his pocket, handing it over and saying, "Well, maybe this will get you started."
Oh my
Why
God.
does Locke have
Why does he have
in his
$1?
pocket?
Yeah.
Like,
95
is
days
a-
on the island.
Those
Good
were white pants. My guess they
question.
were folded from in a suitcase somewhere and had not been brought out yet.
Oh.
Otherwise, they'd be
Oh,
dirty.
that's a pretty good answer, actually. Yeah.
good theory.
Deduction, you know. Again, Locke tells him to put his dirty stuff by the door and again tries to leave. Ben says, "I can help you, John. We have shared interests, or at least a common enemy." Locke wonders if he means the people on the freighter. And Ben says, "Not them, the one they work for. Let me out of here. Give me some semblance of freedom. Let me sleep in a bed and eat with utensils. And I give you my word, I'll tell you everything you want to know about the person who sent the freighter." Locke tells Ben the problem is that he doesn't trust his word. So Ben says, "All right, then I guess I'll have to show you."
Got him.
Yep.
Got him. Hooked
Yep.
him.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Got him on
Yeah.
lockdown. This takes us to flashback number 4. There's a lot of flashbacks in this episode. Juliet pokes out of the ocean water before she emerges in a bikini. Goodwin is chilling on the beach with a picnic
yes.
basket.
She looked
He tosses her a
good.
towel. Yeah, she did. He tosses her a towel and opens a bottle of wine. He hopes it's good because he doesn't know anything about wine and stole the bottle from the submarine. He pours her some, and they clink glasses. Juliet smiles and rests her head on him. He starts complaining that he doesn't like having to keep this a secret. He's been sleeping on the couch for a year now and thinks he should just tell Harper the truth. Juliet does not think that's a good idea because Ben wouldn't like it.
Oh boy.
Goodwin is annoyed that Ben's crush on her is the reason she wants to hide their relationship. She's surprised that Goodwin is aware of the crush, but Goodwin says, "Come on, everyone knows. He follows you around like a puppy." She questions why he doesn't think that's a problem, and Goodwin sighs and says, "Now, a little less than a kilometer from here, he has me working with chemicals that could kill every man, woman, and child on this island if I flip the wrong switch. Trust me, Ben has enough on his plate. The last thing he cares about is you and me." Juliet still gets the feeling that he would be upset, so Goodwin asks, "What's Ben going to do?"
Well,
He'll figure it out.
yeah, we're about to find out.
He certainly has a
Hop around.
plan. Yeah. We're still in the flashback, but now at the barracks where Oceanic Flight 815 breaks apart overhead. Again, we watch the scene where Ben tells Goodwin and Ethan to infiltrate the camps and get lists in 3 days. Only this time we see Harper near Goodwin staring at Juliet.
Daggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Look, infidelity is not okay. You need to be honest and upfront with your partners, obviously. I think that was up to Goodwin, and because Juliet was not Ben's partner. But yeah, I mean, it's a little more complicated of a situation when you throw in this like Ben obsession with her. But yeah, I think Goodwin probably should have just been honest with his fucking wife, especially if you're on the couch for a year. Just end it. I don't know. Where do you move to, though? I guess. Like,
Yeah, right.
Is there another empty house, or do I go live in the jungle? What do I do?
Back to the present, Jack and Juliet are tracking through the jungle. Jack is worried that something is wrong because he thinks they should have caught up to Charlotte and Daniel by then. Juliet thinks if they're able to base jump from a helicopter, they can also make it through a jungle quickly, which you can't base jump from a helicopter, by the way. Base stands for building, antenna, span, earth. Helicopters are neither of those, so that would
wait. Base jumping means something. It's an anagram?
Acronym.
Building,
Acronym. Sorry, anagram.
antenna, span, meaning bridges, earth.
Uh-huh. Oh my God.
That's what you
had
can
no
base
idea.
jump
Oh my
from.
Didn't know that either.
Not only did I not know that, but I want to tell you what I was about to verbalize. Oh, I just thought it meant that you jumped off the base of something, but then I realized that the base is the bottom.
Yeah.
So why would I think that? It
No,
doesn't make
I
any
don't know.
sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did too.
Right?
No.
I don't know.
Mind blown.
There you go.
How did you know that was an acronym, Ben?
I don't know. It's just one of those things.
Random
Just
reading.
no
Random
shit.
shit you pull. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Suddenly they hear moaning, and Jack runs over to find Kate on the ground.
Kate again, moaning
Yeah,
still.
buddy.
Hey.
Hey. She knows her value on the island. Juliet says she'll get Kate some water, and Jack thanks her. Gasping, Kate tells him that she thinks Charlotte hit her. He says they've been following them since they disappeared from camp. Kate wants to know where they're headed before saying, Jack, they had gas masks. Jack tells her they're headed to a power station and then looks around for Juliet. She's nowhere to be found. And Jack calls out, Juliet!
Romeo.
Wherefore art thou, Juliet?
Polo! Juliet! Polo! At the barracks, Locke is leading a tied-up Ben through his own living room. He wants to make sure that Ben isn't leading him into the jungle to shoot him in the back. Ben says they don't even... right. Ben says they don't even have to leave the living room and checks again to make sure they have a deal. Locke wants to know how he's supposed to know that Ben won't run off to meet his people the first chance he gets. Ben smirks and says, if my people still wanted me, John, they would have stormed this camp long ago. It's behind the picture. Locke moves the picture to...
I think you said
find
Jock.
Yeah, I did. I saw Jack for some reason, so I said Jock. Locke moves the picture to find a safe.
I move my picture with my jock. That's how Locke's trying to assert dominance by moving the picture with his dick.
Jack.
Yeah.
There we go.
Watch this.
Now that I've got that visual in my head, yes, Locke moves the picture to find a safe with a combination lock. Ben tells him to use the combination 361528. When Locke does, he finds a VHS tape labeled Red Sox. Ben says, I taped over the game.
For the record, or for some trivia, that 361528 combination was actually a code to get further in the lost video game that was out at the time, and you had to figure out. Yeah, you had to figure out to go to the show to get the code. I can't recall the name of the game
I didn't
right
know they
now.
had a video game.
It's keep going. I'll interrupt you. I'll get the name of it.
A minute later, Locke inserts the tape into the VCR, and he and Ben sit down and watch an old TV. The tape whirs in the machine. The tape shows a well-dressed, balding man exiting a limousine. The video is taken from above with intermittent occlusion, as if being shot covertly by somebody who's up in the rafters, basically.
Yeah.
Ben says, this is Charles Widmore. This is the man whose boat is parked offshore. This is a man that's been trying to find the island.
What?
On the screen, a henchman removes a blindfolded man from the limousine trunk. Ben says that's one of his men who was unfortunate enough to get caught. Locke asks how Widmore knows about the island. Ben says, I don't know, but he does.
I bet you do know, Ben.
Yes, you
I
do,
bet
Ben.
you do.
Locke asks what Widmore wants, and Ben says, John, 3 months ago in Gainesville, Florida, the Virgin Mary seemed to appear in a patch of mold on the side of a housing complex. When the word got out, over 5,000 people came to see her face for themselves. You survived an airline crash on this island. 1 minute, you're in a wheelchair. The next minute, you're doing jumping jacks. If 5,000 people came out to see a piece of mold, how many do you think will come here to see you? Charles Widmore wants to exploit this island, and he'll do everything in his power to possess it. On the tape, Widmore beats the blindfolded man before looking up and apparently noticing the camera recording him. The video then just changes to static, and Ben walks to the safe and removes some files. He says, everything I know about Charles Widmore is in this file. Some of it's vague, some of it's guesswork, some of it's concrete, but this is everything, and now it's all yours. I'm sorry I didn't tell you all of this sooner, but it was the only bargaining chip I had left. Locke takes the information and says there's one more thing he needs to know. Who's Ben's man on the boat? Ben agrees to tell him, but says, you might want to sit down for this.
I love it. I have 3 things to say right now. 1.
All right.
It's the only bargaining chip I had left. Doubtful.
Doubtful, yeah.
Yeah.
He would never
2.
say that.
2, do you guys remember the story about a Mary statue that started crying? And so people started drinking the tears, and then they found out it was the church sewage that was leaking.
Yeah.
And that's what you get for being dumb. So, and the game was called Find 815. It was an alternate reality game. That was out in December of 2007 and like ran concurrently with the season, and you got clues from it and to play the game.
Oh, cool.
Like that. Yeah.
That's very interesting. I played a lot of video games and never saw that. So
Yeah.
that doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of
No.
games I have not played. But now I'm interested. I'm going to go check it out. Back to the show. Kate is tracking in the jungle and says Juliet and the other 2 all came through here. Jack wants to know why Kate stayed with Locke, and she tells him she needed to find something out. Jack says, are you going to tell me? Or are you going to keep talking and walking through the jungle like it doesn't matter? They stop walking, and Kate says, I stayed to find out what the people on the freighter knew about me, if they knew who I am, if they knew that I'm a fugitive and that I'm wanted for murder. Jack wonders what she found out, and Kate says, yeah, they know. We should keep moving. God knows where Juliet is.
Whew.
I did also notice this. I just saw this. She's tracking them through the jungle. I think it's through the rain, and she says like they came through here about 30 minutes later.
Yeah,
She
I have
goes
that in
out-
my notes
yeah.
too. I have
Yeah.
that in my notes too. How the
Yeah.
hell would you know that? Is she like a dog? Is she like, oh, that scent is stronger?
Yeah.
This one was like 30 minutes behind. Like, what the fuck?
It's like Aragorn putting his ear down, and they're less than a day ahead of us. It's like, what the fuck? You can't be listening to rocks. I don't care if you're Dunedain. You can't do that. Bullshit. Juliet approaches a concrete bunker entrance high on a hill, panting from the climb. She notes that the electric door switch has been destroyed and manually moves the counterweight to open the huge bunker door, which opens with a clank. She enters and, leaving her bag at the door, draws her gun and steps inside. And this whoosh takes us into flashback number 5. This scene is cringe, man. Ben opens a door.
And I want to say something as it begins here that cheerful, happy, cheerful Ben is so much more terrifying than angry, scheming, manipulating Ben. It is. I just like imagine being Juliet and walking into the house and having him in that mood and being like, I'm gonna die. Like, what is it?
Yeah, seriously.
This is
Hello,
bad.
Clarice.
Me for dinner.
Yeah, this is not good.
Like some good Chianti and some fava beans.
Creepy. Anyway, Ben opens the door with a very pleased look on his face and finds Juliet standing there. He heads back to the kitchen and grabs the ham before it dries out. Juliet enters and asks how he's feeling. Never better, Ben replies. Juliet notices that the table is set for two and comments that she thought this was a dinner party. Ben removes the ham, potatoes, carrots, and cabbage from the oven and says, just you and me. Oh, I guess I should have made that clearer. He walks toward her, and she hands him a basket of dinner rolls and says, no, it's fine. Ben happily takes the rolls as Juliet looks around, confused and concerned.
Party in his pants.
Oh my God.
Now at the table, Ben is carving the ham and thanks Juliet for taking care of Zach and Emma. She says they're great kids, but keep asking about their mother in L.A., and she doesn't know what to say.
Yeah, you think? I mean, like, what do you say? What do you just tell the kids? Like, yeah, well, we're all rescued here and everything is fine and we're going to put you in this house, but you'll never see your mother again.
Right.
Seriously.
Ben says they'll stop asking in time. Julia is concerned that children don't belong there, but Ben says they were on the list and they shouldn't question that.
List?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Juliet says, now that we have everyone on the list from the tails section, what about Goodwin? He's been undercover for weeks. Ben stops carving for a moment and then starts again while saying, he's making a case for this woman, Ana Lucia. He thinks she'd be a valuable member of our society, but between you and me, I don't see it. He feels very passionately about her, almost inappropriately so.
Yeah, right.
So gross.
Oh, he's such a shit.
Yep.
Almost inappropriately so, he says. Oh,
like putting
wow.
his fingers on her fingers.
Yeah.
Oh.
Juliet thinks that after losing Ethan, accepting Ana Lucia is a risk. Ben says, Goodwin stays where he is for now, Juliet. There's no reason for him to hurry back, right? But his assignment will be over soon, I promise you.
It's
Here's
over,
my
all
thing,
right.
though. They talk about these lists.
Yeah.
He told Ethan and Goodwin to go and make a list and come back with it in 3 days. And then he says, oh, well, the kids were on the list. Now he's like, oh, well, Goodwin wants Ana Lucia to come. Who made the fucking list then? If Goodwin
that is
put
a big
Ana Lucia
question, isn't
on
it?
the list, it's weird.
You're right, because at one point you assume it was Ben making the list, or before we heard the name Jacob, because we didn't think Ben answered to anyone, but now he talks about Jacob and lists. But that's right. We know that he told Ethan and Goodwin to actually make the list. So maybe there is some criteria by which they follow from whomever is handing down the idea of lists. Whether that be Ben or Jacob or a character, we don't know.
Attributes.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe there's some way to tell, or in other spots and other. I don't know. But you're right, Chrissy. Like there has to have been some way for Goodwin and Ethan to be able to make that list to the satisfaction of whoever the ultimate list giver is. Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if that's just like a plot hole or if there's an answer to that. I can't really remember.
Writing.
Shitty writing, yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
Another thing I want to call out on that previous scene is like he's all just feeling all great and he's just perky or whatever. And the second she mentions Goodwin, his face.
Yep.
His face.
Like once again, it was like
where,
fucking acting. Like he's you could see the rage.
He pauses, the moment that he pauses as he's like cutting this hunk of meat, and he pauses for a second and his face changes, and I'm like, he goes back to cutting, and like in his head, he is just cutting Goodwin up.
Goodwin,
chopping him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he is like, that is the moment. If he hadn't already decided, that was the moment that he decided Goodwin has to die. Yeah.
So Juliet's walking through a dimly lit hallway in the tempest while red lights flash and an alarm blares. A woman's automated voice says, "Warning, computer switching to manual operation. This attempt is unauthorized." Juliet comes out of the hallway into a 2-level complex with computer equipment on the level below her. A figure in a hazmat suit stands before the terminal, tapping away on the keyboard. The alarm sounds again. The automated voice again. "Warning, manual entry override denied." Error messages flash on the screen as the figure who enters commands into the prompts. As the person that's doing that is just going faster and faster. The automated voice again. "Warning, manual entry override denied." Juliet finds some stairs and goes down to the lower level. Automated voice again repeated attempts to access storage tanks will result in contamination. The alarm sounds, and the automated voice is repeating the last message. Juliet approaches the suited figure, points her gun at him, and says, "Hey." The suited figure spins around, surprised, with a gas mask covering his face, but it's Daniel Faraday, and he says, "Juliet, what are you doing here?"
Wow, actually, Daniel, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I'm trying to save you. The automated voice now says, "Final warning, manual override failed." Juliet tells Faraday to step away from the computer, but Daniel refuses. Again, the automated voice, "Manual override failed. Countermeasures will begin." Daniel turns back around to the terminal and starts entering commands again. "Hey," yells Juliet before she rips off Daniel's gas mask, throwing it onto the floor. She points her gun at him as the alarm blares, and the automated voice continues, 1 minute to contamination. Juliet says, "You want to release the gas? You'll die with the rest of us." Faraday shakes his head and says, No, I'm not trying to release it. I'm trying to render it inert. Juliet, I want to make it safe. Charlotte, also in a yellow suit, hits Juliet on the back with a metal pipe. Her gun slides across the floor, and then the automated voices continue. 40 seconds to contamination. Faraday returns to the terminal, furiously entering commands, grunting. Grunting, Charlotte strikes again, just as Juliet tries to reach for the gun. Juliet flies at Charlotte, tackling her to the cart of files and equipment. The alarm continues to blare. At this point, it's Rocky Dennis, and I think Juliet's Apollo Creed.
Okay. That works.
Right.
Also, I don't know why I wrote yellow suit, because they were definitely wearing white. So I had some sort of brain fart when I wrote this outline.
Oh, I didn't remember the color, actually. So
That
they were
doesn't
white
matter.
suits?
Either.
Let's talk more about the women grunting and hitting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hot. It's hot.
The alarms continue to blare. Juliet, on top of Charlotte, struggles to remove Charlotte's gas mask. But Charlotte punches at her face and finally kicks her away. I don't know where that came from.
And in this corner, Rocky Garlic Dennis.
The automated voice continues. 30 seconds to contamination. Charlotte flies at Juliet, and the struggle continues on the ground. An indicator on the monitor rises into the red zone. The women are grunting as the alarm is still blaring, and the automated voice, "Contamination imminent. Evacuate immediately." Charlotte tries to pin Juliet to the ground as they fight. Daniel is yelling for them to stop, but Juliet unmasks Charlotte, distracting her long enough to reach for the gun and just beyond her fingertips. Grunting, she punches Charlotte off of her. Charlotte's body hits onto some equipment, and she falls onto the floor. The alarm continues blaring, and error messages continue to appear on the monitor as Dan rapid fire types his commands into the keyboard. Juliet stands up with a gun and points it at a defeated Charlotte. The clock on the screen goes past 20. Automated voice again. 20 seconds to contamination. A rapid beeping begins, and Juliet says, "Whatever he's doing, tell him to stop." Charlotte replies, "We're trying to disable it before he can use it against us." Juliet, look me in the eye and tell me you are certain that Benjamin Linus wouldn't use the gas to kill everyone on this island. We know he's used it before.
Oh.
Good point.
She just got Juliet's attention.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
We know he's used it before.
Yeah.
If you want to stop us, you're going to have to shoot us both. And then the automated voice again. 10 seconds to contamination. Charlotte screams, "Daniel." He types away and says that he's trying. The alarm is blaring rapidly, and automated voices start to count down. Contamination. 5, 4, 3, 2. And with 1 second left, the alarm stops. The computer screen returns. Daniel's final successful commands. Set valve BC22 equals open. Well, there you go.
Okay. How convenient. 1 second left.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been 007 seconds left.
And as Daniel's command gets uploaded into the computer or whatever, you just hear everything wind down. You know, everything turns to green, the electrical equipment, and zzz, you know.
Exactly.
Juliet lowers a gun, and loud mechanical hissing indicates the relief of pressure of gases.
I bet. Release.
And Daniel's sort of sitting there breathing heavy, and he says, "That was a close one."
I think it was more like that
Was a close
was a
one.
close one.
Yeah. Flashback number 6. Juliet is back in that same medical building, and Ben walks in, and she's reading something. Ben asks what she's reading. She says she's reading Jack's file. I guess what she calls him Shepherd's file. She mentions that he's a spinal surgeon. And Ben says, well, how about that? She says,
so we need another guy. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, how about that?
Well, how about that? Yeah. And she says, well, I thought you'd be more excited. And he just says, come with me. Next, we cut to an outdoor shot. Ben and Juliet are hiking to the summit. Ben says, after our last raid on the tail section survivors, they ran off, left the beach. I sent Pickett and Tom to track their location, and they came across this. I'm sorry, Juliet. She says, sorry about what? Ben turns his head in a different direction, and when Juliet follows his gaze, she sees Goodwin's white-faced corpse with a giant stake through the middle of him.
Oh, God, this is brutal.
I'm sorry, Juliet. So
brutal.
sorry.
Holy fuck, Ben.
How terrible.
She runs, screaming, oh, God, down the hill. She reaches him and brushes her hands on his face while flies buzz around. She asks what happened, and Ben says, we don't know. There weren't any witnesses. I can only assume they found out he wasn't one of them. Guess I should have listened to you.
Oh, God.
I love it.
She wants to know why he brought her here, and Ben asks, what do you mean, instead of his wife?
Oh.
Bam.
Oh, whoa.
Juliet accuses Ben of knowing this would happen, of wanting it to happen. She demands to know why Ben wanted Goodwin dead, and Ben replies, why? You're asking me why? After everything I did to get you here, after everything I've done to keep you here, how can you possibly not understand that you're mine?
Oh, my God.
And Ben at this looks a little surprised at himself having said that. And then he sort of softens a bit and says, take as much time as you need, and walks off.
And I love how it just cuts back to that. Like,
Yep.
take as much time as you need.
Yeah. That was a rare. Yeah.
Anger,
Well,
yeah.
But that was
Slip
a
of
rare
emotional control.
moment.
Yeah.
That you see him lose control. And he even seemed startled by it.
Yeah. Juliet and Charlotte exit the Tempest. The building is still humming with the sound of electricity. Kate approaches and draws her gun. Juliet says, whoa, Kate, it's all right. They're on our side. Kate replies, our side, Juliet? She just knocked me unconscious.
Yeah.
Charlotte apologizes for that, saying she had no choice, and then tells everyone that Daniel is securing the facility, and if they'd like to go inside, she's happy to explain how they just saved everyone's lives. Jack wants to stay outside, so Charlotte takes Kate inside, leaving Jack and Juliet alone. Jack asks if she's okay, and she tells him that Ben told her to kill Daniel and Charlotte. Jack is confused and upset. He paces and asks, how can he tell you anything? Juliet says, I don't know, but he knew how to get me, and he knew where they were going and what they were doing. Don't you understand? These people came here to wage war against Ben, and Ben's going to win, Jack. And when he does, you don't want to be anywhere near me, because he thinks I'm his, and he knows how I feel about you. She starts crying. Jack kisses her, and he says, he knows where to find me.
Okay, Goodwin.
Jack's kind of a badass in this moment. Hello. That's hot.
There's one last brief scene before the episode ends. A horseshoe clanks against a stake, and Sawyer yells, oh, beat that. Another horseshoe clanks as Hurley scores a perfect shot and laughs. Sawyer drops a son of a bitch and wants to know how Hurley got so good at horseshoes. Hurley starts to say that he's lucky as the expression on his face changes. Sawyer turns to see what he's looking at, and his jaw drops. Ben is walking outside carrying a stack of clean folded linens. Sawyer says, what the hell are you doing out? As Ben marches up to his new house, he cheerfully replies, see you guys at dinner, and then goes inside, leaving Hurley and Sawyer dumbfounded. Last title screen, end of episode.
Brilliant.
See you at dinner.
See you guys at dinner. We all loved it. Chrissy hates it. She's mad.
She needs to become a Ben convert.
All right. Shall we do some fun facts?
Sure.
Okay. Well, this week we're going to talk about a piece of literature, a little bit different than most times we do that because it's not something that anyone was reading, but it is called The Tempest by William Shakespeare. And this play was probably written in 1610 to 1611 and is thought to be one of the last plays that he wrote alone. The important themes in The Tempest are freedom, empathy and forgiveness, and nature versus nurture. It's unlike any other play in Shakespeare's body of work because it takes place all in one day. It's filled with magic and spirits. It revisits many of the themes that he tackled before, and it focuses on Prospero, the main character who is totally in control of his own story. So, I'm going to try not to Gilgamesh you, but I did find...
Thank you. Thank you.
I did find what the Royal Shakespeare Company has online. They call this a 2-minute summary. So let's see if I can do this in 2 minutes. Ready?
Two Gilgameshes later.
Prospero fulfills his promise and frees Ariel while Caliban and the drunken servants are rebuked. The play ends as all go to celebrate their reunions, and Prospero asks the audience to release him from the play. Breaks the fourth wall. Side note, in 2006, the Royal Shakespeare Company did The Tempest, starring Patrick Stewart as Prospero, and I think I would have given anything to have seen that.
Oh, hell yeah.
There also is a woke film version from 2010 that stars Helen Mirren as a female Prospero. How dare they? It's a pretty good movie.
In 2010, woke wasn't a thing.
Oh, well, no. I guess they started it then. It's retro woke. All right. Let's do some best and worst moments. Derek, let's start with you.
Okay, so best moment was just Ben Linus manipulating everybody, especially the lock scene to get him back into his house. Which he did successfully, of course.
Of course.
And the worst moment was just kind of finding out that Ben purposely sent Goodwin to die, because I kind of started to like the guy a little bit in this episode. You know, he didn't. And any scene with Dr. Harper. Just a raging bitch.
My best moments are 2 quotes. 1, he knows where to find me. Badass Jack. And see you guys at dinner. I love it. Worst moment was Juliet having to see Goodwin that way. You know, it's one thing to find out someone you love is dead, and it's another to see them with a stake through their
decaying
chest.
corpse with flies on.
Right.
Yeah, that was gross.
Christy, how about you? Too. I'm sure it did
my best
smell.
moment is also a couple of quotes. Jack, you guys have therapists? Juliet, it's very stressful being,
Yeah.
My worst moment is Ben's fucking creepy proclamation that Juliet belongs to him.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. That was awful.
Yeah, I figured y'all wouldn't like that.
Yeah, that's a bit much, Ben.
Yeah. I own you. Okay.
How about you, Benjamin?
I have to agree that my favorite was the very last line. See you guys at dinner.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
The next line is actually a best and a worst moment, and that's Ben telling Juliet, "You are mine." Yeah. It was an amazing scene, and it's also like just ugh. The other worst moment was the entire sort of ham dinner. That it was just painful. It was very, very painful to watch. Like you say, watching him sort of like happy and perky is more unsettling than when he's just being scheming shit. So, yeah.
Yes. Agreed. And Happy Ben is the scariest Ben. Our Ben. Why don't you just keep going? Give us your power rankings.
All right. Yeah. Bottom 3, I had Rocky Dennis in third, just because I really just cannot stand her. And the amount of like concussion protocols that have to be enacted because of her in this episode is kind of ridiculous.
True.
I've actually got Ben Linus in the second bottom.
Whoa.
And yeah. But there's a wrinkle to that.
You got him in the top.
And
too.
then I've got Dr. Harper in first place at the bottom.
Okay.
For my top
why did you
3,
put Ben in the bottom though?
because I felt
What was
like
the reason he's in the bottom?
the ownership thing,
Yeah. Okay.
like trying to
Valid.
own somebody, like that's fucked up.
Yeah. You're right.
Top 3, I got Dan Faraday in third place, just because he's with without Saeed there, he's sort of taken over the I'm gonna fix shit. I'm gonna figure out the computer systems and all that. So Second place, I've got Juliet, just because that was a hell of a struggle. And my top, I've got Ben Linus, because also he was awesome in this scene, or in this episode.
Okay.
I am going to, this harkens back to something I talked about earlier. Sun and Juliet working that pole.
I knew it.
Fuck them while they're working that pole. Yeah.
I knew it.
Have them work your pole for a while.
And I'm going to kill Dr. Harper and send her into the sweet by and by with Goodwin.
With Goodwin.
Take the steak out of Goodwin and just whack right in Harper.
Yep, yeah. He got the point.
Oh my God!
I feel like Ben could have said that. He got the point, Juliet. You know.
Oh my gosh.
He's not really a punny guy, but he could have delivered that.
I'm just gonna go next. I was not very angry during this episode, so I don't have a third or second bottom. I just have Dr. Harper as the worst, and best. I had Ben Linus in third place. I didn't give him any negative points for the creepy stuff, but this is still more for just he's just always a step ahead, and he's just makes my skin crawl, and I love it. Second best, Dan Faraday, my season 4 crush. Because, again, all the same reasons everybody else says about Dan Faraday. And then I have Juliet as number 1, actually, because I feel like I'm starting to understand her character more now that I'm getting these, all the information about Goodwin and more of the information about like this thumb that she's been under, Ben Linus, and I just think she's kind of like killing it despite that. And so that's how she ended up my number 1. I'm not killing anyone. Like I said, I'm just not angry this episode, I guess. But my fuck, I am going to fuck the Juliet from the first flashback scene. And it is going to be a threesome with Ben Linus, but I'm not going to let him touch us. He has to watch while eating an egg salad sandwich on rye.
Or carving a ham.
Carving a ham. That too. If it goes too long, he can go on to the ham. All right. Christy, how about you?
So I only have 2 on the bottom. Second is Harper, and the worst on the bottom is Ben. The whole thing where your mind just...
It's ooky.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really fucking bad.
Yeah, it's true. It's bad.
On the top, bottom of the top, let's start with Hurley. Just the whole horseshoe thing was great.
Yeah.
Because Sawyer keeps thinking that he's going to best Hurley on something.
I know. He seems like he can't.
Next, we'll go with Juliet. And then top of the top is Faraday for saving the day.
Yeah.
There you go.
He is great. All right. Fucking kill.
I'm going to fuck Faraday.
Ooh,
and I'm going to kill Ben.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, who's left? Derek. How about you?
Okay, yeah, I just had 2 on the bottom. My second worst was Rocky Dennis. Just keeps knocking people on the back of the head. And then, of course, Dr. Harper is my worst.
Uh-huh.
And my third best is Dan Faraday because, he saved the day. Second is Ben Linus, just because he's Ben Linus. And just the master manipulator. I mean, I didn't put him first because of the cringe factor, so I put Juliet first.
Okay. Love it.
I'm going to fuck Juliet. Doesn't matter which timeline, either now or in the past. Pink lipstick or with the gun. And I'm going to kill Dr. Harper.
All right. You know what? I should have killed Dr. Harper's eyebrows.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go back and do that.
Yeah, you killed Jack's wig. So.
There you go. Ben, what are we looking at after episode 6? Is there some movement in our rankings?
Yes, there's quite a bit of movement. The bottom hasn't changed too much, but we've got Charles Widmore falling out of the third from the bottom slot, and Dr. Harper jumping in there with negative 24 points.
Well, there you go, nasty bitch. Look where you are now.
Miles maintains his second place, negative 25 points, and Kimi stays at the top. He didn't actually lose any points because he wasn't in this episode, but still at the bottom of the bottom with negative 28 points.
Yeah, Kimi is only in a handful of episodes this season, but I'm going to make a prediction, knowing what's coming, that he is going to run away with the bottom.
Yep.
Dr. Date Rape. No, he's not a doctor, but what's he, like shipmate date rape? That doesn't work, does it?
Yeah. Semen date rape.
Semen date rape. Oh,
Semen date rape.
There you go.
God almighty. All right. So yeah, the top three is a bit jumbled this week. So I'll just start.
Some ties?
We do have several ties. First, I'll just say in third place we have Juliet with 36 points.
Okay.
We have a 3-way tie for second place.
Oh my God.
With Hurley, Desmond, and Ben Linus all with 37 points.
Holy
and
moly.
That puts Mr.
Dan
Faraday at the top with 42 points.
Love it.
All right.
All right. Go. Daniel.
I'm happy to be
exciting.
Here.
Yeah.
That was good. All right, guys. Shall we do some final impressions? Christy, what did you think of The Other Woman?
I mean, not the best episode. It was all right. It just, I don't know. It just didn't do much for me.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I had the same impression. I wrote decent episode. Furthered the plot in some ways, kind of shined some new light on old events. But I thought that Ben Linus kind of just steals the episode. The scene with Goodwin was like brutal and incredible. But yeah, overall, not a bad episode, not a great episode. Yeah. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same, sort of a, B plus sort of episode. It wasn't great. I thought, like you said, I think this was really just a showcase for Ben Linus to see all aspects of his creepiness and manipulation.
Yeah.
To kind of get a little more idea of sort of Juliet's formative days on the island and sort of what she was dealing with. It sort of ties together the whole sort of Goodwin relationship and that whole sort of triangle or I don't know, square rhombus or whatever that you're dealing with Ben and Goodwin and Juliet and Bitchface. So yeah, I mean, it moved some episode or some sort of plot lines along. But I think that, the big thing is now that we understand that the ship does belong to, Widmore.
Charles
Yeah.
Widmore.
Or not so much that Widmore is the one behind this, that he's the one that's looking for them, and you're sort of like, okay, yeah, now you've got Desmond and Ben and all these people are sort of intertwined. So it's starting to tie some of these threads together. So I think it was a good episode in starting to kind of hint at that.
Yeah, agreed. Derek, what did you think of The Other Woman? And did it bring up any new questions for you?
I thought it was a decent episode, not that great, especially after the previous episode.
Right.
Ben is up to his usual, manipulating everyone. It was good of showing why Juliet's kind of the way she is, being under Ben's thumb for so long.
Right.
And at first I thought Charlotte and Dan were going to release the gas, but instead they saved everyone. And Locke being Locke.
Mr. Clean.
Yep. And so I have a couple of questions, which I know one will be answered next episode. Who is Ben's man on the boat?
Oh, yeah. Spoiler alert. We've watched the next episode while recording this. So
he has a son.
What? Coral! What does Charles Widmore want with the island? Why is he sending this freighter out there? And who does Julia look like? Who is that woman?
Right. Who does Juliet look like? Well, I'll tell you what. I don't even know if I remember if they get an answer to that or if they leave it up to our imagination, to be quite honest. Because I don't remember every detail. So I'm going to tell you that one's up in the air. But I will tell you, you absolutely will know what Charles Widmore wants with that island. Going to take a little bit, but we will get there. Not next week. Next week, it's a Sun and a Jin episode, and it's a Christy episode. We get flash forwards and flashbacks. What? And it's baby time again. Plus a shocking reveal and a shocking ending. We'll see you then.
Oh, shit.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Is that quick enough?
Lost in My 40s is a Spacebear media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacey J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook and Spacebear_media on Instagram and Threads. Plus, follow Spacebear Media on YouTube for extra video content. Or for everything in one place, go to spacebearmedia.com.